Backstage at the CMA Awards with Jason Aldean, up for Entertainer of the Year tonight.
I think we're not up for
Male
Entertainer.
vocalist.
Album.
Album.
We're up for album.
That's the one you want, right?
Yeah, we won Album of the Year a few years back with My Kind of Party for that record, and it's the only I think it's the only Album of the Year we've ever won. So to me, that's a cool one, just simply for the fact that all the people that go into the making of one of those, from a producer to the record company to management to everybody. So it's sort of it's one of those group awards if you happen to win one.
Does it have the same honor now as it did a few years ago because of the way people view albums?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. I mean, for us anyway, I think if anything, it's more so. You know, it's getting harder and harder to sell albums anymore, and just the way the music business has changed, it's tough. You know, and albums are still, in my mind, they're still as important now as they've ever been. And I hope it never gets to a point where you got people that are just cutting 3 or 4 songs and putting those out. But so yeah, I mean, to make a full-length record and it get recognition, I think is. It's cool, it's cool to get that from the industry.
I'll say this about your records. You're one of the artists, when you put out an album, people call and request cuts from the album from your album.
Well, I mean, one of the things is, as a fan growing up, I mean, I always hated going to buy an album that had 4 or 5 good songs on it, and then it was just a bunch of junk, album fillers, as we call them. So for me, I always felt like I wanted to record songs that every song had a possibility of being a single if I wanted it to be, and so that's one thing I've always tried to do, and whether or not people like those songs or not, I mean, you can never please everybody, but that's one thing I've always tried to do is if we cut 15 songs, it's 15 songs that I feel like are worthy to be a single, every single one of them, and it's always worked out well for us.
If you were like me growing up too, some of those songs that you heard on the album that never made it on the radio are your favorite songs.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, there's a ton of songs that we've cut over the years that that never went on to be singles, but that I felt like were big songs, and some of my favorite songs like Asphalt Cowboy and a song called See You When I See You, which is one of my favorite things we've ever done. So we always had those songs, and there's always songs, B-sides of records that had songs on it that were some of my favorites, and so I think those songs are just as important.
We're looking forward to having you coming back to Fayetteville in February.
Yeah, man.
And a new tour in January.
Yeah, we're getting ready to kick everything off. We actually just kind of unveiled some new stuff for the end of this run we just did, and then early next year we're going to unveil a whole new everything. So we're going over to Australia to tour for a little bit, and then when we come back from that, we're going to basically take on a whole new deal. So anybody who's seen the show last year, this will be a completely different thing. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're looking forward to you coming back to Fayetteville. In the meantime, do you get a little time to get out in the woods?
I do, man. I've already been out a little bit. I got my first buck about 2 weeks ago in Louisiana. So we've started filming for our hunting show, Buck Commander. So we're doing that right now, and I'll be doing that here over the next couple months as much as possible anyway, in between award shows and trying to finish up an album. But as much time as I can, I'm out there.
How do you pick who goes out on tour with you? You got Thomas Rhett coming out on this tour. How do you pick who comes out with you?
Man, I think you just look at it and you try to pick guys that you feel like are up-and-comers, people that you believe in what they're doing and you feel like they got a big future in the business. And ultimately, when we go out on tour, you want people to be excited to see those guys as much as they are about coming to see you. So TR is one of those guys. We had him out a couple years ago. He was our opener, and it was, I think, his first tour he'd ever been out on. He came out with us, and then he's been on his own for a couple years and kind of getting some hits under his belt, and obviously starting to do really well. So I wanted to bring him back out, and then 1,000 Horses I think are great too. So
you have a pretty good track record of your opening acts of Luke Bryan, Florida Georgia Line. You have a pretty good track record of figuring out who it's going to be.
Well, it's like I said, man, it's there's a lot of talent here, and it's just about trying to get ahead of the game and figure out, listen to people's albums and figuring out if you think they got a lot of hits and if they're going to have a big year. And it's a gamble, and we've gambled and we've guessed right for the most part, and it's been fun.
You've done well. Jason Aldean with us backstage at the CMAs with the big 95.7 WKML.